As the fat acceptance community and separately, overlapping but separately, the health at every size community become more mainstream, something that I am seeing occasionally is sometimes people being interviewed for an article, or sometimes people just on social media or blogging who are saying, I don't approve of fat acceptance. I don't approve of these fat liberation folks. I don't approve of health at every size because they're so mean. and there's all kinds of dynamics going on there. But today I want to talk to folks who feel that way, who feel like they have tried to ask a question and been attacked, or tried to make a point that they thought was a valid point, and and got a response that they considered to be mean or invalidating or divisive or shaming. And I want to talk about three reasons that you might have experienced how that kind of response. It's possible that it's possible that you came into a community where the same very basic question gets asked constantly, and nobody is looking it up in the group search before they ask. And so people are having to answer the same basic question 15 times a day, sometimes literally. And eventually they get impatient because nobody is Googling first, or nobody is searching the group for the answer. And it can get very tiring to explain the exact same thing. But why don't diets work? Over and over and over and over and over and over, often to people who are being very antagonistic when they ask, or who are demanding emotional labor, or demanding that people have the research at their fingertips all the time. It can just get really tiring, and people will occasionally ask you to do your own research or to Google it yourself. So that is one reason that you might have gotten a response that was a little less polite than you would have liked. It's also possible that, I'm going to be really blunt, it's possible that you were being a jerk. It's possible that you were being condescending and argumentative and demanding, and very defensive of weight-centric frameworks that just came across as you not actually being there in good faith. It's possible that you it looked like you were trying to start a fight and people gave you one. It's also possible that learning about your privilege as a thin person and the ways in which weight stigma and size privilege affect healthcare and daily life and transportation and access and social lives, it's possible that gave you a lot of discomfort, and that discomfort is what you're interpreting as people being mean to you. It's also possible that you immediately tried to displace that comfort back onto the person who made you feel uncomfortable. And then they didn't receive that well, because nobody wants to, be treated that way. And then you interpreted that as, well, they're just mean. Because that discomfort is really common when you learn that you hold any kind of privilege. It's common when you are asked to not do something that you're doing, or find out that you're wrong about something. We all experience this. But that discomfort does not mean that people are being mean to you or snapping at you. But it's really easy to interpret it that way. So if you have had these experiences, and also, actually, the fourth thing, sometimes people are mean. sometimes people are jerks to you. And, within the context of marginalized communities, these are people who are treated horribly every day of their lives. If you were treated like that, would you be able to be sweet and polite and graceful to everybody you encounter all the time? No. Sometimes people have just had a bad day. And not always being held with extreme care doesn't mean that a community is mean or divisive. It just means that people are people, and you're going to run into all kinds of people. So between your discomfort and it's possible that you came in and created a situation that then you didn't like. There's some of the reasons that you might have gotten responses that made you uncomfortable.